Hello, everybody. So, look, we've got a 15-man squad. I wanted to go over what I think our final 11 should be. Now, obviously, they're giving themselves, was it 16 days, 15 days, 14 days, 2 weeks now. I think it's 2 weeks and before they will cut it to the final 11. But I wanted to look at who our four that we might be missing out on would be. Now, a lot of people have said Nathan Lyon as one of the locks. I don't agree with that. I think Nathan Lyon's one of the ones that we're asking questions about, and in fact, I don't think we should play him. I do not have Nathan Lyon in my final 11. I think there is merit to picking him, but his is one of the positions that is in trouble. So I'm going to start with my actual locks. So I'm going to start with Usman Khawaja opening, definite lock there. Um, Now, I'm going to then go to number four. So I've got my number one, and then I've got number four. Number four is Stephen Smith. Number five is Travis Head. Alright, so that's three locks now. Then I'm going to have number seven is Alex Carey. So that's my fourth lock. And then I'm going to have, and he might not bat at seven. There's some chance, I'll explain later, that he might bat at eight. Then I'm going to have Josh Hazlewood, Scott Boland, and Mitchell Stark, all going well. I think Mitchell Stark will probably bat at eight, maybe nine. Hazlewood and Boland could be 10, 11, could be 9, 10, depends on what else is going on. So how many is that? So that's Khawaja, Smith, Head, Carey, that's four so far. Stark, Hazlewood, and Boland. So we have seven locks. Seven locks. Then we have eight players going into four positions. So let's talk for let's talk about which ones they are. So the first one of them is the opening slot. Now we only have one proper opener in the mix, and that is Jake Weatherald. However, we do also have Josh Inglis in the side. So that's the second one is Josh Inglis. He does open in domestic cricket. He has opened for Australia in one-day internationals and T20s. Doesn't always open, doesn't usually open, but he is happy to open. And he said that, if they said to him, mate, it's a choice of you not playing and you opening, he is going to agree to open. And based on his test debut when he got a century off, I think it was 94 balls in Sri Lanka. And granted, okay, he came out at like 3 for 400. It was pretty easy. Sri Lanka had completely given up. But he still got those runs. And he's also replaced Alex Carey in one-day international and T20 cricket, although it's not guaranteed that he definitely replaced him. Carey seems to still get some matches sometimes. He is certainly going to become Australia's next keeper. I don't think there's really any serious doubt about that. He'll be a three-format keeper, all-format keeper. At some point, maybe even in the next 2 or 3 years, Carey is holding on by a thread to the test keeping spot. And that is the biggest problem for Inglis. If he does go into open, and I think he's probably going to do pretty well, in fact, I think of the players in the squad, he's the one most likely to succeed. If he does go into open, he's going to have to focus on batting, and his keeping is going to fall to the side a bit. We saw this happen with AB de Villiers when he used to be a keeper and then he became a batsman. His batting improved, and then when he went back to keeping, he was much worse than he was when he was a pure batsman. Kumar Sangakkara, a lot of people say, oh, he's the best keeper batsman ever. When he stopped keeping and started his batting got much better. But he went back to keeping and he was not as good a keeper. You can't focus equally on both and do them to the level. You just simply don't have enough hours in the day. You can't do it. And what would happen with Inglis? If he is to transform into an opening batsman that doesn't keep, his keeping is going to drop off. And that means that when Carey is no longer able to maintain the level required to keep the test keeping spot, Inglis might not get it. I mean, he would get it now. If Alex Carey retired, became injured, whatever, Inglis would get it. And in fact, even without that, Inglis is going to get it soon. But if Inglis became the opener, he's not going to get it. Well, he still might. It's possible, but he probably won't. He'll just be an opener. And I mean, don't forget that. What was his name? Michael Hussey was an opening batsman and wicketkeeper, and then he became just a batsman. We forget that he was a keeper first. Most people don't realise Abbott de Villiers was a keeper. People do realise that Kumar Sangakkara is, but he stopped keeping wicket. And there's been a lot of examples of these players that have stopped keeping wicket to focus on their batting, and they become better batsmen. You know, there's no doubt about that. I mean, even all-rounders that then focus on their batting for a while become better batsmen. And if they focus on their bowling for a while, they become better bowlers. It's just how it works. You know, your training hours do make a difference, and you focus on something or other. So Josh Inglis is a chance, and also they've said that Marnus Labuschagne, that the selectors have said Marnus Labuschagne is a chance. I think that is the worst decision of the three. Labuschagne, some people call him Labuschagne, that's not his name. Anyway, it's an Australianised version of it. In fact, it's not even Labuschagne, I'm saying it wrong. It's Labuschagne, but I can't say it properly. I'm trying my best here, but I'm at least close. I'm at least getting there. No, he doesn't want to open, and that's the big difference. Inglis does, Labuschagne doesn't. Labuschagne doesn't open in any format, domestic or international. Never has, never will. I mean, he did once in the World Test Championship final. I know a lot of people clinging to that. That was not his choice. He did not volunteer to do that. There's also the possibility that Travis Head will be made to open. I don't think he will choose to open, but he could be made to. He doesn't like opening in Test cricket. He likes batting at 5. Now, he does open for T20 and ODIs, at least occasionally. And so he certainly could open. But I think he is happier at number 5, and I think he's doing well enough that he can get what he wants. The other one is Steve Smith. Steve Smith volunteered to be an opener. The selectors said no. If he's captain, he can just say, stuff you selectors, and just open. The problem is that as a long-term prospect, well, Josh Inglis is potentially viable. The others are not. So Travis Head's not really, well, I mean, potentially he could be, actually. Potentially he could be a long-term option as a test opener. I can see that. Okay, so if he's willing, Travis Head could be a long-term option. And, I mean, he may just decide to open in all formats. But it'd have to be his choice. I don't think Steve Smith, I don't think that's very long-term. That's very short-term. And he'd be arguing with the selectors when he's not captain, because they'll say, no, you're not allowed to open. We want you at 4. Which is why he stopped opening. He wanted to open, but they're telling him now, no, you got to bat at 4. So, that's the thing. So, yeah, Head could, but I don't think he would. Inglis, I think, definitely could. And then we've got Weatherald. Now, I don't actually think that Weatherald is as good a batsman as either Travis Head or Josh Inglis. And apologies to Weatherald, I might be completely wrong. But I guess the thing is that they're already in the side. And they don't really want... Well, I suppose Inglis isn't in the side, but he will be with the keeping. And that's an issue. So, and I think we don't know at this stage what Weatherald's going to do. He might completely capitulate, be hopeless, be overwhelmed, and just never be able to get his mojo going. So that could happen. Or he could be wonderful. At this stage, we don't know. I think he's deserved his chance. Give him a shot. At least give him the first 2 tests. And maybe the third. And look, if he does well enough, he's getting all 5. But I'm not guaranteeing him all 5. I think that would be a major mistake. We've got to just say to him, hey, look, we're giving you the first 2 tests. We might give you the third. Then we're assessing it. We're either assessing it at the end of the second test or the end of the third. And we're going to decide. They're probably even going to say, we'll check in after 2 tests. You get 2 tests, you're just getting them no matter what happens. So in those 2 tests, what we want from you is to show that you belong at Test cricket. Doesn't have to show it in first innings or in all 4 innings, but I mean, assuming he gets 4 innings. But he has to show it at least a little bit. You know, at least once. At least have a patch of play where he looks the part. I don't think the number of runs is essential, but he needs to get some runs. So if he just gets duck, he's gone. I'm not, you know, I'll tolerate a duck for the first test, but duck, 4 zeros, and he's gone. I mean, I remember Cooper Connolly came in and we were so excited about him. He had great stats, and then he got like 1 off 4, and we're like, you no, hasn't played again. At least not at test level. And that's, I think Weatherall will get more than one test. I think he'll get two. He might get three, even with bad performances. And look, it's possible he'll get all five, but I don't think he should. And I've said this before, so I think that. So for me, Weatherall should be a 90% lock. Now for numbers 3 to 6. So obviously we've got the incumbents. I've already said Head and Smith are there, 4 and 5. Now number 3 at the moment is Green. I want Green to stay. Now Green's been playing as a pure batsman. He is an all-rounder. He should be bowling now. Now, I don't know how good his bowling is going to be. I don't want him to break down and be off for another year, but if he can bowl, that'd be great. And so for me, Green keeps his spot. Weatherald also keeps his spot. Weatherald keeps his spot harder than Green because Webster has done more. Interestingly, Webster and Weatherald are not only from the same state, but from the same club. It's an interesting little tidbit. Anyway, so they might bat well together. They might be very happy playing in the same team. I mean, it's not very often you get two players in the same test side who are from the same club. So that could be very interesting to see how that goes, what that dynamic is like. So, yeah. So for me, Webster's playing. Now you might say, well, you're not talking about Labuschagne. Problem with Labuschagne playing is you have to drop an informed player. And I really don't like that. I don't like dropping a player that's done nothing wrong. Now, Webster, fair enough, he was a hunch, but the hunch has played off. He's paid off. He has done really well. In fact, he's probably been Australia's best player since he made his debut. Now, I think he had, 2 matches against India, World Test Championship, that's 3, and then 2 against Sri Lanka, that's 5, 3 against India, so 8 matches. And he's been wonderful in those 8 matches. I don't remember a single failure. He's been really good with the bat and with the ball, and he's just been great. So, there's no way I'd drop him. I think it would devastate him, and it would just shatter his confidence. I don't think he'd play for Australia again after that. I think he'd probably retire soon afterward. Now, Green, I don't think it'd shatter his confidence as much, but he'd be a bit bewildered by it because he'd be like, I made the side as a batsman. You told me I'm in the side, and now I'm bowling, and you've dropped me. So, that's the problem with either of them. And I know people are saying Labuschagne has to play. I disagree. He doesn't have to play. But the only way he's playing is if we go in, for me, the only way I'm picking him, if I have a choice, and I know the selectors, I'm not a selector, the only way Labuschagne is playing for me is if either Green or Webster are injured. And if either of them are injured, he comes in. If both of them are injured, I know in theory we could also put Inglis in, but then we're missing a bowler. And our fast bowlers are not going to be happy with that. I think if both of them are injured, we play Labuschagne for the first, and then we find an all-rounder, which is probably going to be Aaron Hardy. I haven't checked if he's injured at the moment. I mean, they all seem to be injured. But yeah, I think Aaron Hardy is the obvious choice. I'm not even sure who comes next after him. Michael Neser, I guess, would play. I mean, it would have been Mitchell Marsh if he was able to bowl. He hasn't bowled for over a year. So, in any format, by the way, for people still thinking Mitchell Marsh is an all-rounder, he's a pure batsman at the moment. Has been for over a year. So that's interesting that... so if they're both injured, and it is possible, because they were both out with injury before, then I think, we will have to bring in an all-rounder. Now I think Green's more likely to miss from injury than Webster. So there's every chance Green will be out from injury, and then Labuschagne comes in, we have one all-rounder, and then we play 4 proper bowlers. Now, I'm going to look at the bowlers. Now, I've got 3 locks. Nathan Lyon's not a lock. Now, I know Australia have traditionally loved to have a spin bowler in every team. There's for centuries, for over a century, we have had that claim that we always have to have a spin bowler no matter what the pitch. This is just what we do. We rarely play two spinners, even on rank turners. We still go with our three fast bowlers. Occasionally we will play two spinners, but we are very nervous about it, and we very, very rarely play four pace bowlers. But we saw what happened last year, this ground, and also at the Gabba. Nathan Lyon barely bowled, didn't even look like taking a wicket. We were playing with 10 men. Now that's not Nathan Lyon's fault. It's not like he was out of form or doing anything wrong. He just should not have played. So, Lyon doesn't play for me. There's, unless the pitch has just completely transformed from last year, and the year before, by the way, Lyon's nowhere near the side. Which then means that we have that choice of Doggett and Abbott, and I don't like either of them, to be honest. And then that means, do we consider having an extra batsman? Now, the problem with having the extra batsman is that our fast bowlers will complain. Now, Scott Boland won't complain. He'll just bowl forever. He won't care. Mitchell Starc cannot cope bowling long spells. Josh Hazlewood used to be able to, but as he's gotten older, he cannot cope either. He's breaking down regularly when he has to bowl long spells. They both need an all-rounder. They need to have that fifth bowling option. So the only way that works with just having the three premium bowlers is if we then have two all-rounders that are both bowling long spells. And they need to be effective. They need to be penetrating. They can't just bowl 10 overs and go for 100 runs and just let England off the hook, because England will smash them around. Their baseball means that they will smash them around. So they have to be top of their game, able to take wickets. They don't have to be quite as good as the three premium bowlers, but they need to be decent. They need to be able to take wickets. They need to look like they can take wickets. If they are both doing that, I think we can justify having an extra batsman, and that extra batsman is Labuschagne. However, firstly, I'm not confident that Green can bowl enough overs for that to work. Secondly, even if he could, I'm not confident that a three fast bowlers will allow it. That then means Labuschagne doesn't play, and that then means, well, do we play Doggett or Sean Abbott? So Doggett has only just recovered from injury. He's never played for Australia in any format. I don't know if his body can cope with 5 days. I don't know if he can emotionally, mentally be good for 5 days, because that's quite a big difficulty. I don't know if he can cope with the pressure of an Ashes. I don't know if he can cope with England's batsmen smashing him all to all parts. Sean Abbott can. I don't know if Doggett can. Now, maybe he can. Maybe he'll just be absolutely amazing, but he might not be. It's a big risk to play Doggett. It's less of a risk to play Abbott. But Abbott's probably going to be only just better as a bowler than Webster and Green. He might not even be as good as them. He's going to be a decent batsman, but by decent I mean about as good as Mitchell Starc, and Pat Cummins, not as good as Mitchell Marsh. So he's going to be a decent number 9, and he's probably still going to bat behind Starc. He might bat ahead of him, he might bat as 8, but he's definitely not a top 6. So that's going to be... So if Abbott plays, he'll be playing essentially as a bowling all-rounder. So we would then have 2 batting all-rounders and 1 bowling all-rounder and 3 pace bowlers. Now that would definitely work, but I don't know if that's the balance we want. If Doggett plays, I'm really concerned about his ability to stay fit and not to break down. Now, if he breaks down, we know what happened at the Gabba last year. Josh Hazlewood bowled for like 1 over, 1.5 overs, I believe, and he broke down. And look, we didn't lose, but we should have won easily. If he'd just been fit, or if we'd played someone else, we would have won easily. But, it was okay. We drew the match, and we didn't lose the series, thankfully. Against India, we managed to win the series eventually, thanks at least in part to Sam Constas. I think that was really the change when Constas took on Jasprit Bumrah. A lot of people don't want to admit it because they're too busy hating on him, but that was when Australia won the series. That was when it went from I'd say India were probably going to win the series if we'd kept with McSweeney and or if Constant had failed. Um, so yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is we are looking at replacing our four main bowlers fairly soon. Now I haven't heard any of them retiring. I think the next one to go would be Hazelwood. He's the one whose body seems to be racked the most. So we are potentially looking at a replacement for Hazelwood. Now, the problem with Doggett, he is 31. And so if he does replace Hazelwood, then he might not have that many more years. And he's already suffering from injuries. So, but then again, I suppose Sean Abbott, I'm not sure how old he is, but I think he's past 30 as well. So I probably should have gone with Fergus O'Neill. He's like 23. Anyway, better bowler, better batsman, better everything, younger. Why did we not pick him? I just anyway. I don't understand Doggett's selection. And look, I wouldn't mind going in with the extra batsman because Perth last year was very low scoring. It was not a problem taking all 20 wickets. And we did it with Lyon not bowling. So why not go in with an extra batsman? But I also know that Hazelwood and Stark are going to complain. And they are going to cross their arms. Stark is a big complainer. He is going to complain like crazy and say, no, don't care which one you put in, but put him in. And yeah, so I think that will be a big factor. Now, the other factor also is that Nathan Lyon is very popular. Steve Smith wants him in the side. He said, Smith, and this is the thing, Smith said Constance is not playing. Well, he's not in the squad, so we don't have to worry about that. He said Labuschagne is playing, Green's playing, Webster's not, Lyon's playing. That's what Smith said. That's not what the selectors said. But if they let Smith get away with dictating who's in the side, which they did in Sri Lanka, they dumped Constance because Smith told them to, which Cummins didn't want to do as captain, but Smith did. But anyway, if they do go along with what Smith says as the temporary captain, then Lyon's going to play. Labuschagne's going to play. Webster's not. And it's all quite simple. And I mean, Smith's 11 is quite obvious. He's going to be... we're going to have Khawaja, number one. We're going to have Weatherald, Labuschagne, Smith, Green, Webster. Smith, Head, Green. Green's going to bat at 6. No Webster. Going to have Carey, Stark, Lyon, Hazelwood, Boland. That's Smith's 11. Is it the right 11? It's not terrible, but I do feel like Lyon's going to be a passenger, and I think that if Lyon plays, that is the big mistake. I don't think that Lyon can play. I don't think we can justify it. The other one, we can't open with Labuschagne. Look, I think it'd be a disaster. We'd be killing a player essentially. If we drop Webster, he will never play again if he's dropped. And I think that is a stupid decision, an awful decision, a cruel decision, an unfair decision. And Labuschagne should stay as reserve. So I think of the decisions, that's the most crucial one for us moving forward. But for us, our chances in the test, Lyon needs to be dropped. Now, I don't like Labuschagne opening because of our chances with replacing Khawaja. I mean, I guess the thing is also Doggett is probably more likely to be more of a long-term prospect in tests than Abbott. And he could be good. I mean, I actually complained when Boland made his debut because he was so terrible in one days. And then he was good. And I thought, it's a one-off. It was It was the situation. And that was the thing. It was a situation where England were bound to collapse. It wasn't him. But somehow we all told him it was him. We all told him, oh, that was good skill. But he believed it. And then he became we were told we told him. We told him he was good. He became good. And that's a funny thing. There's a lot of psychology in cricket. And you see players that, talk himself out of form. Matthew Renshaw did when he was dropped unfairly. And I think we've seen a bit of that with Sam Constas. And I've no doubt about Beau Webster. Well, I suppose I have some doubt. Beau Webster might be able to come back. But, Mitchell Marsh seems to be still going great guns in spite of being dropped last year. I thought he would just collapse, but he hasn't. Maybe because he's been dropped so many times before he doesn't care. Or he's sort of worked way through it. Being mentally strong, very important in cricket. And yeah, look, I certainly think Nathan Lyon will be okay with being dropped because it's not a spinning pitch. It's not to say that he's no longer our best spinner. He's still our best spinner. But it's just that ground right now, Perth Stadium, and probably also the Gabba, are not grounds where he can play and be effective. And I know we like to have that variety, and the fast bowlers like to have his overs to soak up some pressure. But yeah, number one, if he bowls 3 overs for the match and doesn't bat, we'll get 3 runs. I don't see how that's useful. And number 2, if he bowls and concedes 100 runs, and we've got to remember, England playing Bazball, as soon as they have a weak bowler in their attack, they're going to hit them all around the ground, no matter what the match situation, because that's what Bazball is. So we cannot play Lyon because he will be taken advantage of. And I think it'd be risky to play Abbott. And we cannot have... Doggett could be risky. I reckon that the English batsman will target Doggett if he's in the side. And if we go in with just 3 specialist bowlers, the English batsmen are going to target Green. They're going to target Webster. And they need to be ready for that. So, yeah, look, it's... I'm leaning towards playing the extra batsman. But I think if we don't, Labuschagne can't play. That's the only way he's playing. And do we play Abbott or Doggett? If we're sure that Doggett is fit, he's playing for me. If we're not, Abbott's playing. Is there an argument still that Lyon can play? I suppose there is. And the argument essentially is that we say, well, even if Lyon's not taking wickets, he's not going to concede many runs. He's going to soak up some pressure, soak up some overs. And even if he's not spinning the ball, if England take him on, he could get wickets from nowhere. And just having that variety can help. So that's the argument for Lyon. Plus he's experienced all that sort of stuff. There is an argument for playing him. However, the argument against is we did okay against West Indies with all pace. And at Perth Stadium, he was useless. Not just last year, the year before as well. Anyway, look, eventually it'll be up to the selectors to decide who they're peeling away. For me, the ones on the outer are going to be probably... So the 3 that are definitely on the outer for me are Josh Inglis, number 1. There's no way he's playing. Nathan Lyon, probably. Sean Abbott, probably. And then it is a choice of Brendan Doggett versus Marnus Labuschagne. If Green is fit and can bowl 15 overs per innings and be good overs, they can't just be just overs that get smashed all around. If they can be good overs that can take wickets, we're going in with the extra batsman and Labuschagne's playing. If Doggett's fit and Green isn't, Doggett's playing. It will get down to fitness between Green and Doggett. If Doggett's playing, Labuschagne's not. Unless you go in with Sean Abbott. If neither of them are fit, then Abbott's playing. Green's still playing. Abbott's playing. And yeah, look, there's a few variables left. Abbott's still a chance. And I suppose if they want the variety, is there any value in having Lyon? I mean, I could be completely wrong and he'll go in and take 10 wickets and then I'll look stupid. I don't think he'll take 10 wickets. But he might take one. It might be a vital one. It might be, it might be Stokes and Harry Brook on centuries and he gets rid of Brook. And it starts to collapse and we win the match. That's probably as much as we can hope for from Lyon. Yeah, could be that variety means that the batsmen are off their game. Because if you have pace bowlers, the danger is they can be very samey and the batsman can get into a rhythm. Now, I don't think that Stark's very different to the others. And Hazelwood's quite different to Boland. And I know that Hazelwood and Boland are both line and length bowlers, but I think Hazelwood isn't so much like that anymore. Because as he's gotten older, he can't handle just bowling forever anymore. So he has changed his technique a bit, and Boland is more like what the younger Hazelwood was like. And the new Hazelwood is quite a bit sharper and quite a bit more penetrating, but he can't just bowl forever. So he has changed quite a lot. Curiously, Pat Cummins, he used to be able to be unable to bowl long spells, and now he can. Although he just got injured. But yeah, bowlers can change over time. Stark, I think he's become more fragile as he's gotten older, but he was always pretty fragile. But Stark is great. He can take a wicket in his first over. He often does. He can be great for his first few overs. Anyway, my voice is giving out, so I'll say goodbye to everybody there. Bye-bye now.